Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Houston Rockets lose to Indiana Pacers 115-102. And the Rockets have a tough loss, another road loss as well. It's like, I think the road streak loss at this point is now at like 6-7 games. It's been tough, especially on the road recently. Since the All-Star break, the Rockets have had some really nice wins at home, like beating Minnesota and beating Milwaukee. But outside of that, they've had some home losses, like losing to Sacramento. They've had some terrible road losses, like last night against OK. Oh, you know what? I wouldn't call that a terrible road loss because, they played pretty good last night without half the team. Tonight against Indiana, losing to Utah. There have been some other losses. I think there's another loss I'm missing. So, I think they've had two really good wins since the All-Star break resumed. Since All-Star break ended against Minnesota, Milwaukee, some really good basketball, and San Antonio. Those three really good wins against San Antonio, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. But outside of that, on the road, they have played terrible basketball so far. This is going back before the All-Star break ended. And they've lost games I don't think they should have lost. I don't know. This one, it's hard to tell because this Pacers team's playing some really good basketball right now, and the Rockets still missing Fred. And but I was proud of the way the Rockets came back in this game. They're down by double digits in this game. I think there was like the lead for Indiana, I want to say, was like 14-15, something like that, and the Rockets came all the way back to take a 1-point lead, and it is interesting. The Rockets did this against Dallas about a month ago, if not more than a month ago. I think this was in the beginning of this was like the beginning of February. The Rockets did this against the Dallas Mavericks. It was Anthony Davis's first game as a Mav, and of course, AD. We know obviously he didn't play bad basketball when he was on the floor. He dominated through three quarters against this Rockets team. He was killing them. But before he got injured, what was stopping Anthony Davis? What was neutralizing Anthony Davis's dominant play? That was the double big lineup of Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun. And the Rockets used that again tonight for the second time this season with Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams to try to help them come back in the game. And it wasn't just those two guys. Sure, that's two centers in the lineup. But it also, on the floor with them, which just makes this lineup scary, you have Amen, Tari, and Jabari. And they subbed out Jabari and had Dylan at some point in that lineup too. So having Amen, Tari, and Alperen and Steven Adams and sometimes Dylan, sometimes Jabari in that lineup, that is a lineup the Rockets need to go to more. It worked very well for this Rockets team today to the point where they were able to turn a double-digit deficit into a 1-point lead. That lead did not stay for them that much long at all because the Rockets, for instance, when they took the lead, they took a 96-95 lead when they got the lead back, and they lost this game 102-115. So after the Rockets took a 1-point lead in this game, we would see the Pacers go on a 20-6 run. So obviously, Steven came out of the game. Jalen was brought back in. Steven and I think eventually Tari checked out as well. But so that worked. And the Rockets almost won this game and came back from a huge deficit because of that. That's a scary lineup to face because you got Amen Thompson and Tari Eason as two of the smallest guys on the floor. Because, hey, look at your... At the 5, you got almost 7 foot Steven Adams, or I think he is 7 foot. So you got 7 foot Steven Adams at the 5. At the 4, you got Alperen Sengun, who's 7 foot, 6'11". At the 3, Jabari is at the 3, and he's 6'10", 6'11". At the 2 is Tari Eason, and he's like 6'6", 6'7", something like that. I think he's 6'6". I'm pretty sure Tari's 6'6", and then Amen's like 6'6", 6'7". So that is a tall lineup to use, and it works well. It works well for this Rockets team, and then obviously, we saw Jabari check out, and Dylan comes in, so that lineup does get a little bit smaller for a little bit, but it's still a really big lineup to use. That's a lineup I like to see the Rockets use more often, and it worked for a majority of that run when the Rockets made. Let's get to some stats. Alperen Sengun, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 12 for 19 from the floor. Indiana is probably the best team he's played this season. I mean, like that's the best numbers he's put up against this season. I think his season high was against Indiana this year. He had like 40 points against Indiana this year. Early in the season in November in Houston. But keep in mind, the Rockets have lost now 5 straight games in Indiana, in the city of Indiana, and six straight road games against Indiana. If we're gonna include a bubble loss that the Rockets took in 2020 in the bubble, 6 straight road loss. That's not a real road game. So 5 straight losses in the Pacers arena. That's going all the way back. I don't think the Rockets have won. The Rockets have not won a game in the Pacers building since the amazing 2017-18 season with Harden and Chris Paul. That's the last time the Rockets won a game in Indiana. And I remember that. I actually do remember that game because this is funny. I remember this. I remember that game against the Pacers because I remember I was like, this was still 2017. It wasn't 2018 yet, and I was like 10 years old, and I'm a huge Texans fan as well, and the Texans sucked that year, absolutely sucked that year. I mean, it was Deshaun Watson's rookie year, and he tore his ACL in his rookie season. So they sucked. I remember this too. The Texans were playing the Rams in Los Angeles and getting rocked. And for some reason, even though I knew the Texans weren't going to win and they were getting killed, I still wanted to watch the game. So I remember the Rockets were starting off in Indiana. The Texans were still playing against the Rams. And I kept switching back and forth between the Rockets and Texans playing their separate games. And that's how I remember that. And I know the Rockets won that game. And so that's the last time the Rockets won a game in this Pacers building. But Sengun playing some amazing ball against the Pacers this year is what I want to get back to. He had 9 rebounds tonight, 7 assists with his 25 points. Dillon Brooks had 13 points with 4 rebounds, 2 for 9 from 3. I will say, bad shooting from Dillon tonight, but he did have a really clutch 3 for the Rockets. They were down by 4. I think it was 95-91. He hit a huge 3 that made it 94-95. Then eventually Amen helped the Rockets get the lead. Obviously that didn't matter because they lost the game, but he did have a huge 3 for this Rockets down the stretch. 4 rebounds and 2 assists and 1 steal for Dillon tonight. Then Amen Thompson, he had an amazing second half. 13 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He only had 13 points, rebounds, and assists in the first half. Ended up with 29 to end off the game, which finished with 6. Had 16 in the second half. So a much better second half for Amen Thompson. Jabari had 12 points and 9 rebounds. Jabari has had an amazing career against the Pacers in his career. I think Craig Ackerman, Rockets play-by-play announcer, said something like he was averaging. I know he said he was averaging 9. I want to say Craig said he was averaging 17, 18 points per game in his career against this Pacers team and like 8, 9 rebounds per game in his career. Points were a little bit down for Bari tonight with 12, 4 for 11 shooting, but 9 rebounds, which is about the usual against this Pacers team. So good night for Jabari Smith Jr. Jalen Green, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists tonight, 1 steal, 4 for 13. I'm going to predict this right now. Jalen's had a little bit of last couple games have been off for Jalen Green. You know, we go through this stretch. Jalen Green, the next 2 games, I'm going to predict this, is going to catch fire. And I don't know. We'll see what happens, but wondering why I'm predicting this. Next 2 games, the Rockets play the New Orleans Pelicans and the Houston Rockets and Jalen Green this year. And their 2 games against the Pelicans, the Rockets have won both of those games. But Jalen Green has been a Pelicans killer mostly his career, but this season as well. I expect Jalen Green to bounce back in these next couple games against New Orleans, but a tough game for him tonight. That's it for the Rockets starters. Tari was terrific. I would say the best player on the Rockets floor tonight outside of Sengun. 16 and 14 for Tari with 4 assists, 2 for 4 from 3. Was the best 3-point shooter on the floor for the Rockets tonight. I mean, like the most the Rockets hit from 3 tonight was 2-3. Like player wise, was the most Rockets hit from 3 tonight with 2. Like Tari had 2, Jalen had 2, Dillon had 2, and Jabari had 2. So there was no Rocket that led the Rockets with threes made tonight. It was a 5-way tie? No, 4-way tie between Bari, Dillon, Jalen, and Tari. But Tari had the least amount of attempts, which makes him the best three-point shooter for the floor for the Rockets tonight, with 2 for 4 from 3 shooting and 7 for 14 from the floor as well. He had the best shooting percentage for the team tonight outside of Alperen Sengun, which Cam Whitmore doesn't count. Cam Whitmore only played 7 minutes, shot 1 for 2 3-points after his amazing performance last night. I know him and Cam have the same shooting percentage, but I mean, we're comparing Tari's 14 attempts to Cam's 2. Steven was 1 for 3 tonight with 3 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Obviously, the stats don't show how much of a difference he made in that fourth quarter with the big lineup for the Rockets, but him and Sengun on the floor together, he doesn't do a lot stat-wise, but what it does is it creates an advantage for Sengun because the biggest guy on the floor is going to be on Steven Adams now. So Steven Adams is going to probably be playing. Sorry, Sengun's probably going to be playing the guy who's the 4 on the floor. So Sengun is going to have a misadvantage, and that's where Steven Adams being on the floor really helps with that big lineup because I think it makes Sengun a better player. So Steven Adams played 15 minutes tonight. Reed Shepard, after his career high last night, 15 minutes tonight, 4 points, 2 steals, 2 assists, 1 rebound. I think a good overall game. He didn't shoot a lot, 2 for 6, 0 for 1 from 3. I would say the only negative part for Reed tonight, 0 for 2 at the free throw line, but 2 steals in 15 minutes, had a couple dimes, a couple assists, and 4 points in his 15 minutes. Not bad. Almost shot 50% from the floor. Not amazing for Reed tonight, but wasn't terrible. I'll tell you that. Aaron Holiday played 2 minutes. Nate Williams played 2 minutes. Jason Tate played 2 minutes. And that was because the Rockets had given up on the game, and they really didn't do anything. I mean, Tate had a rebound. Nate Williams, newest standard contract member, took a shot, missed the field goal, but got to the free throw line later on and made 1 out of 2 free throws, so had 1 point, and that was it for him. And that's really it. Rockets lose. Oh, let's go over the Pacers real quick. Alperen was amazing tonight, 28 points, 15 assists. Miles Turner did a great job, 16 points, 6 for 11 from floor. Foul trouble led him to only getting 26 minutes in this game tonight. 16 for Aaron Nesmith with 5 rebounds, 18 points for Pascal Siakam, 10 and 5 rebounds for Thomas Bryant off the bench. He got to play 21 minutes with Turner being in foul trouble early on in the first quarter. And how about former Houston Cougar? Rooting on for Jerice Walker all the time. Former Houston Cougar, 10 minutes for him, 2 points. Obi Toppin at 13 and 5 in this game, and that does it. Rockets 102-115 loss against the Pacers. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out. Go Rockets.